Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's live stream. It is the 4th of May, May the 4th, as they say, and it is 7:35 p.m. Looking at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press today, and another story that dropped earlier in the week, but of course with the blackouts, or the blackout, I should say, dominating the news over the last 6 or 7 days, difficult to get other stories coming through, but we'll take a look at that story because it is fairly important. We'll also take a look at some comments that were left on the channel in recent times, and we'll go into the chat section and say hello to the viewers watching the chat, so stay tuned for that. Around the 20-minute mark or so, we'll get into that live chat section. Now, we'll get straight into the news, and as we can see from the headline of today's video, or the title, all of Spain believes another blackout will happen. Even 83% of Sánchez voters. Despite government reassurances following the historic blackout that hit mainland Spain, public trust has sharply eroded. According to a Sigma DOS survey, 91.3% of Spaniards, including 83% of voters who support Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, believe another similar blackout could happen again. This sentiment contradicts recent statements by top officials, including Sánchez, who vowed such an incident must never happen again, and Vice President Maria Jesus Montero, who praised the swift recovery. Vice President Sara Agassin referred to the outage as an isolated incident, but simultaneously promised new preventative measures, creating mixed messages. Beatriz Corredor, president of Red Eléctrica, insisted Spain has the best system in Europe, yet the public remains deeply skeptical. The widespread doubt highlights a growing disconnect between institutional claims of control and citizen perceptions of vulnerability. The incident has ignited a national debate about energy security, reliability, and the need for accountability from both public and private operators. So, fairly clear from what we can see here that the Spanish public has lost faith in the institutions, the Prime Minister, the government, the company Red Eléctrica, because of what happened last Monday. And let's be honest, who can blame them? Because there was a lack of information. People were kept in the dark, pardon the pun, by politicians. I think Pedro Sánchez didn't speak until 6 hours after the event, after the blackout first occurred. The blackout occurred at 12:33 p.m. and I don't think Sánchez spoke until around 6:30 p.m. later that day. And of course, the president of that Red Eléctrica company, the company that controls the grid, the electricity grid here in Spain, didn't speak until 2 days after the event. And when she did speak, she said that Spain's infrastructure when it comes to electricity is the best in the world. And of course, people were left rolling on the floor laughing at that statement. And she hasn't done herself any favors, let's be honest about that. And how long she will be as head of that company, I don't know, but I don't think it will be long, or it shouldn't be long, in my opinion and the opinion of many others. Second piece of news now, and more than half of Spaniards disapprove of the government's response to the blackout, according to the CIS. A flash survey by Spain's Centre for Sociological Research, the CIS, reveals that over half of Spaniards disapprove of the government's handling of the recent national blackout. Nearly 60% felt the information provided during the crisis was insufficient. Respondents primarily wanted more clarity on the causes of the outage, 38.4%, better communication about when power would return, 26.3%, and faster public statements, 24.1%. The most critical issues experienced during the outage included lack of electricity for cooking and medication, mobile phone service loss, and the internet or social media outages. While more than half recalled the EU's recommended emergency kit, only 34% had one at home. The survey also shows that 63.4% of participants believe Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez failed to provide enough information during the incident, although 28.4% felt the response was adequate. The results underscore widespread dissatisfaction with the government's crisis communication and emergency preparedness. So there we go, this story here backing up what I said a minute ago. People wanted more information on the day, and of course they didn't get it. People were glued to their radios because radio was the only form of communication that many people had on the day. As internet services crashed, people couldn't see the news on television, of course, and people did not have, as we can see here, the EU's, what's it called? The EU's recommended emergency kit, which the EU has been pushing in recent times. Some people obviously have gone out and bought it and were better prepared for the emergency on Monday, but a lot of people don't have it still. But I think that will change as a result of what happened on Monday. Let us know in the comment section if you're here in Spain and you have subsequently purchased that emergency kit or put it together, or you were prepared for what happened on Monday and you were okay. Or maybe you were off the grid. You have solar energy powering your home and you're not reliant on red eléctrica, which is also, I imagine, something that a lot of people are now considering very, very seriously, as we saw in that first article, because 91.3% of people here think that another blackout will happen. Interesting times. Third piece of news now, and Spain's grid operator, Red Eléctrica, is in the eye of the storm. Unsurprisingly, Red Eléctrica, the España, part of the Redea group, is under intense scrutiny following the massive blackout that struck the country, with the Spanish government holding a 20% stake in the group. Upcoming decisions about national electricity grid planning from 2025 to 2030 and regulatory frameworks from 2026 to 2031 place REE at the centre of a critical moment for Spain's energy infrastructure. Led by the former housing minister Beatriz Corredor, the company is preparing for a strategic plan amid rising demands for grid access, the planned nuclear shutdown, and the growing dominance of renewables, which accounted for 56.8% of energy in 2024. Redea's goal is to reach 81% renewable-sourced electricity by 2030. This shift has prompted an acceleration in investment from a 400 million euro annual average to over 1.1 billion in 2023, with 1.4 billion euros expected by 2025. Analysts say the company's healthy cash flow and recent asset sales, such as Hispasat, provide the financial flexibility needed for this ambitious expansion. Well, all I can say here is that let's hope that Red Eléctrica spends the money wisely and invests enough money into the grid so that we don't suffer a massive blackout again. And I say massive because some people, it took 24 hours to get there, or not 24 hours, but 17 or 18 hours to get their electricity reinstated. So, let's hope that the company Red Eléctrica, in the eye of the storm, of course, as we saw there, get their act together, especially at a management level, and invest that money wisely. And the final piece of news, as I mentioned, one that slipped under the radar during the week because of the blackout news, but it was the House of Horrors story that occurred in the city of Oviedo, in the autonomous community, or the Principality, I think, of Asturias, last Monday. As we can see here, the House of Horrors in that city, the endless confinement of 3 children surrounded by filth. In Oviedo, Spain, a shocking case of child abuse has emerged from what's now dubbed the House of Horrors. On Monday, during the national blackout, police discovered 3 neglected children confined in a seemingly ordinary pink villa on Mount Naranco. The children, 8-year-old twins and a 10-year-old with mobility challenges, had reportedly been isolated in the house since 2021. Authorities found them terrified and in poor condition, with the 10-year-old still in diapers. The home once luxurious with marble bathrooms and scenic views, had fallen into disrepair, its garden overgrown and unkempt. Neighbours and even close relatives living nearby had no idea what was happening behind the gates, and occasionally noticing movement from window shutters. The mayor of Vitoria, the town where this occurred, Joaquin Ruiz, expressed sorrow and disbelief at how such a situation could go unnoticed. The arrested parents now face serious charges as investigators examine years of confinement and neglect. So the House of Horrors story in Oviedo, on the city of Oviedo, on the outskirts of that city, in the town of Vitoria, as we can see here, 3 children kept indoors for 4 years by their parents. Apparently they were found wearing face masks, in nappies or diapers, as we could see there, even the 10-year-old, and apparently they were still sleeping in baby beds, let's say, and in terrible conditions, surrounded by feces and rubbish. And reports previously to police had gone unheard that the children living in the house were not going to school. But it wasn't until recently, I think, another neighbour decided to complain again, saying that she could hear children in the house, hadn't seen them outside for years, and wondered exactly what was going on. And also the amount of deliveries that were arriving to that home also made people suspicious. But surprising that in a house on the outskirts of a big city here in Spain, around 150 other people living in that small area there, nobody knew exactly what was going on in that house. Children being kept in terrible conditions, without their freedoms, without being able to go outside, in face masks, by 2 people that... yeah, the mind boggles as to why you would do something like this. And we're not talking about... how can I put this? We're not talking about low-level income families here. We're talking about a person that was from Germany. His wife was also a German citizen. I think she was a dual citizen, according to all reports, United States and Germany, and both educated, apparently. The father of those children was working remotely for a German company in human resources. So we're not talking about low social needs families here. We're talking about high levels, that obviously something's gone wrong between the ears, and keeping those children in that condition there for 4 years. Absolutely shocking. And finally, the authorities getting around to freeing those children there. Now into the comment section I'm going to go. Let's get into the first one here from Werner. Spain has 7 nuclear power plants and had a blackout. Germany has no nuclear power plants and has not had a power outage. Yeah, thanks, Werner. I'm sure other people are also asking similar questions about what happened here. The nuclear situation of Spain. I don't think 7 nuclear power plants are working currently. I think it might be only 5. I'm not sure. But of course, the Prime Minister on Monday was quick to point the blame towards nuclear as well. That was something that he mentioned straight up. So we haven't got to the bottom of the issue yet. I've seen some comments here in the chat section talking about that, but still trying to work out exactly what went wrong. But Germany hasn't suffered a power outage yet. And France, well, of that scale anyway. And of course, here in Spain, people still trying to scratch their heads and working out exactly what went wrong with the nuclear power plants, with the renewables, and all of the other mix of energies that go into the system here. One here from Paul. I doubt anyone will ever admit fault or take responsibility the modern way. Thanks, Paul. Again, I'm sure people would agree with you there that no one will ever admit fault or take responsibility. Hasn't happened yet. In fact, they're doubling down on the strength of the system here and saying that it is the best in the world. And of course, nowadays with the internet, you can see quite easily, or you can have evidence of what people said years ago in television interviews and the like. And of course, the president of that company, Ms. Corredor, I should say, was on national television 4 years ago, again saying that Spain will never, ever, 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 ever have blackout. Those were her words. It will never happen in Spain. It happened, Beatriz. It happened. It happened, Beatriz. It happened. Another one here from Dan. The fact that they are pretending that they don't know what happens says all you need to know. It makes their agenda look bad. So they pretend they don't know what caused it. That's another theory. That one there. That Spain's agenda, as put there by Dan, is one of the reasons why they're keeping hush-hush I don't know. It's a theory. I'm not going to say it's a conspiracy theory, but a lot of people seem to share this theory that Spain's green agenda, which has been the focus of this government for the last 6 or 7 years with renewable energies, of course. I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong with that, but maybe you need to question the system, not necessarily the energies, but the system that they go into. That could be one of the things as well. And of course, the anti-nuclear stance when countries like France are pro-nuclear and some people want nuclear energy to be the source of energy in these countries. But of course, the government is anti-nuclear, pro-green, and that could be one of the reasons. Again, it's a theory that some people are putting out there. I don't know. But thanks, Dan, for the comment. One here from Ryan. Surprisingly sarcastic response to Gertrude. You often feature Portugal on your channel, and surely that a country is a critical element of the power outage in Spain story. Well, I did mention it, Ryan. Of course, I'm not going to dedicate much time to Portugal because, as I said, this is not a Portuguese news channel. And the thing that you mentioned here, I often feature Portugal on the channel. No, I don't. I feature Portugal if I go to Portugal and I'm recording videos in Portugal. I might record a video showing Portugal. I might put a video out there talking about the quality of life in Portugal, what I like about Portugal, but I never speak about Portugal in the news. In fact, I could probably name 5 times in the last 5 years on my hand when 5 times, 5 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when I mentioned Portugal in these news broadcasts, because I don't talk about politics in Portugal. I don't talk about what happens in Portugal. I mentioned that Spain and Portugal were affected by the blackout, and the cause apparently was because Portugal was getting energy from Spain. That's the reason. So it's fairly clear to work out. But yeah, my sarcastic response to Gertrude was more along the lines of the way the comment that was written was structured. So a sarcastic comment, sarcastic response. Thanks. One here from Armando. Hi, great video as usual. I made comments about the Spain power failure as a chartered engineer. I know a little on engineering. Thanks, Armando. Yeah, we have had lots of people giving their opinions, and of course, some people give valid opinions, like Armando here, chartered engineer, knows a bit about engineering, as many people no doubt do. But some of the comments that I read, I don't think were coming from people as qualified as Armando. And that's what Marco wanted to point out the other day. So, yeah, but of course, comments are free. You don't have to be an expert to leave a comment. We did have lots of experts leaving comments, of course. But we had also had lots of non-experts leaving comments, so we'll leave it there. One from Chris. I have bought a decent power bank off eBay. I live in the UK. I'm expecting it to come our way in the near future. No two ways about it. Yeah, again, Chris, I'm sure that hardware stores around Europe sold out of power banks, or eBay power banks were sold out after Monday's event, not only here in Spain, but many people are preparing for something like this, because maybe next time it might not be as long, the blackout, or it could be longer. Nobody knows. Or will it happen again? As we saw earlier, people in Spain seem to think that it will. 91.6% of people surveyed by that newspaper seem to think that it will happen again. So people are going to be prepared, I imagine. And preparedness could be, having an alternative way to cook your food. It could be having a backup type of generator that you could plug in to keep your phone charged if you need it for an emergency, or your fridge charged, or something like that. I don't know. Having candles handy, having a battery-powered radio handy. All of these things that people found out on Monday they didn't have, and of course the shop sold out very, very quickly of those items. Candles especially. My partner went to a shop that sells candles, and there were 2 people opening boxes frantically and putting prices on candles. No doubt the price of those candles were not the same as they were the day before, because of the demand. So, yeah, I'm sure people will be more prepared in the future, like Chris will be, just in case. And let's hope that it doesn't, but it's happened once. It could happen again. And the final comment here from Elisa. Food was brilliant and well priced, but the wine was way overpriced. Thanks, Lisa, for the comment. Obviously talking about my restaurant video that I did when I was recently in Jerez de la Frontera, in Cádiz last week. I was stranded there for an extra day, so I took advantage, went to a restaurant, and it was a nice restaurant indeed. I still have fond memories of the food that I ate that day and the wines that I drank. And I don't think the wines were that overpriced. One was $2.90 for a sherry glass, you know, the smaller sherry glasses there. One was $2.90, and I think the other one was $4.60 or $4.70, maybe a bit more. But the second one was a 25-year-old wine, or at least that's what I was told by the expert in the restaurant. So for a 25-year-old fortified wine, I'm not complaining about the price. And again, if you enjoy the meal, you enjoy the wine as well. And I don't think it was expensive, considering some of the prices that I've seen for wine and the like in restaurants around the world. In Australia, I've seen some ridiculous prices for a glass of wine. So here, I still think it's a reasonably priced experience to drink alcohol with your meal, if that is your thing. And of course, for me, it is my thing. Now, we're going to go into the chat section in just a moment. Before I get there, there we go, live chat. So what I need to do is change the backdrop. Now, you've noticed that I've had the backdrop image the whole time behind me, but I'm going to give you guys a look at it without the blur effect. So there we go. This is also the city of Jerez, down there in the south of Spain, in the province of Cádiz. This photo was sent in by Aline, who was in the city of Cádiz in February, I think she said. And that's exactly the images that I also saw there. The blue skies, a little bit cloudy, but a fantastic city as far as light is concerned. Some great old buildings, and of course the wineries that are dotted all around the city of Jerez. An absolute treat to visit. And stay tuned for my travel video, which with a bit of luck will be released this week. So thank you very much, Aline, for sending the picture through here. And I'll just de-blur it a little bit so we can get it in the background there. There we go. Thanks, Aline, for the picture. Now, people that have supported the channel, I want to say thanks to the people that have supported the channel. We can see that I've got the new symbol up there in the corner, just up here. There, you can see the Buy Me a Coffee QR code, so you can get your phone, take an image of that, and that'll take you to the site if you want to support the channel that way. That's one way you can do it. Other ways, of course, are through the super thanks, which I saw one come through in a moment ago. Buy Me a Coffee, that's the option there. And also longer term supporters on Patreon. Thank you very much for that support as well. And of course, the channel members here on YouTube, people that support the channel every month. 99 cents, I think, is the cheapest option. So thank you very much for that support. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Also, people that maybe haven't subscribed to the channel, you can see here, it's a free thing to do, doesn't cost any money. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Somebody said they didn't know where to turn on notifications the other day. Well, I think next to the subscribe option, there's a little bell that you can press, and that will notify you. I'm not sure if it works all the time, but apparently what happens is that every time I publish a video, you get a little ding notification on your phone. So that's the way that it works there. So you can do that as well. And of course, we're heading up towards the 100,000 mark. I think 91,500 subscribers on the channel. So hopefully, with a bit of luck, we'll get to the 100,000 mark sometime this year. If all goes well, of course. If all goes well, of course. Now, into the chat section. See what's happening there. Some familiar names popping out at me straight away. Marcus is the super chat contributor here. Regular contributor to the channel is Marcus, also a valued member. Appreciate that. Great input coming from Marcus often. €5. Have a cold one. Thanks, Marcus. I will indeed. I have a cold sherry, one of these sherries that I brought back from Jerez. I might knock the top off one of those. John, I can see here coming in from San Diego, United States, watching this evening. Good evening, John. Probably good morning to you, I would say. Bangers is saying, can't believe there's no official reason yet for the blackout on Monday. No official reason yet for the blackout. Lots of people asking the same question, Bangers. Lots of people asking the same question. Now, I forgot to put the like icon on the screen before. I've just noticed with one dislike, so it's reminded me to remind you guys to hit the like icon as well. We're currently at 80. We'll see if we can get over 100 today if you hit that like button. Now, back into the chat. Let me see if I can find it again. Here we go. Where am I? Let me see. Charlie. Dios mío, Estuardo, my faith in green energy is shook. All I had was scented candles a neighbour gave me, and they smelled too bad to use. I just went to bed smelling of cinnamon. Barely survived. Yes, Charlie, I'm sure other people had a strange scent on them after using candles for a source of light on Monday. I think a lot of places got energy back before, or got power back before it went dark. Of course, we're on daylight savings time again. Would have been a different story if we had that blackout in the middle of January, or the middle of February, or in the middle of August. Can you imagine what would have happened in the middle of August if we had that same blackout? A different story I think we would be talking about today. That would be my, well, at least that's what I think. If it happened in the middle of August or in the middle of January, a different story. Sandy coming in from Basingstoke, back there after being in Spain recently, I think, Sandy. Happy holiday tomorrow for those in the UK. One of the rare bank holidays. Good luck. Enjoy. John's also in the UK. We'll catch up later because he's working. Iggy coming in from Jaén down there in the south of Spain. Thanks, Iggy. Good to see you. What else? Let's have a look here. Let's have a look if I can find something. Brad saying hi. Hi, Brad. Good to see you in the chat tonight. There's a bit of a conversation going on here between Brad and Amanda, so I won't put that on the screen. Gigi's in the chat as well. 35,000 feet in the air, somewhere above the Atlantic. We'll soon be in Madrid. Thanks, Gigi. Gigi, of course, the Camino expert, setting off for this year's Camino tomorrow, landing in Spain and heading up to wherever it is that Gigi will start the Camino. Stephen, valued member also. Hope everyone is well. Big drop in temperature in North London. Looking forward to getting back to the old tower on Tuesday for a few warmer days. Thanks, Stephen. I'm sure you are. The old tower, of course, being Torrevieja. I must say there's a lot of YouTubers coming out of Torrevieja nowadays. It seems to be the YouTube hub here in Spain. Gino's in the chat here too, with Isabella. I hope the viewers are well. Blackout has me thinking about adding a battery set to the solar panels. I, like others, see future blackouts. Yep, Gino, as we saw here in Spain, a lot of people see future blackouts as well. And speaking to some people over the weekend, they haven't, obviously experienced anything like that before, the countrywide blackout, and someone even said that they can't remember in their times even, a shorter blackout. So, yeah, not something that happens often here in Spain, but I remember growing up in Australia, we would sometimes, if there was a severe storm or a cyclone passing through the coast of Western Australia, the power would sometimes go down. Or if there was a fire somewhere, the power would go down. But normally it was always, back up again and running in a couple of hours. But of course, here it took some people, 12, 13 hours to get their power back. Janet coming in from a windy Oxford. short hot spell has vanished. Probably it was the summer that has come and gone. Hopefully that's not the case, but it could be. Al, haven't seen Al for a while, checking in from a cold 11-degree wet San Diego day today, dreaming of returning to El Puerto at the end of the month, hoping all is well. Thanks, Tio Al, for that. Barbara, hola, in Cádiz this week, 20 degrees there today. Barbara, well, we must have just missed each other. You're in Cádiz this week. I was in Cádiz last week, of course, not Cádiz City, but the city of Jerez, which we have behind us here. Jerez de la Frontera. Tony, our trip was great. Left the day before the blackout. Best wishes to all of those that were affected. Yep, got home or left the country just in time. Tony, that was lucky. Charlie, you can trust us, say the people who just proved otherwise. Yep. I don't think it takes much for people to lose faith in politicians here. I remember a Prime Minister of the country, Rodríguez Zapatero, one of the masters of Spanish politics back in the day. Zapatero, an absolute genius he was. When the economy crashed, he set up all of these plans to spend even more money. And of course, just before the economy crashed, he told the country that Spain's economy was playing in the Champions League, the best in Europe. And of course, we all know what happened from 2008 to 2014-15. Champions League? Anyway, we've seen it once. We've seen it well. We've seen it 100 times, probably. Heidi coming in from a sunny Madrid. Hope everyone had a great puente. Puente, of course, is a long weekend, and here in Madrid it was a long weekend. Thursday, Friday last week, Saturday, Sunday. And also agrees there could be another outage, but wondering whether it was intentional. Well, we don't know, Heidi, do we? We don't know if it was intentional or not. But again, there's thousands of theories out there. Choose one. Gillian coming in from Mojácar. Not so easy trying to watch on mobile, but we'll persevere because it's worth it. Thanks, Jill. And of course, Jill and Bob, normally in Torrevieja, I think, but in Mojácar today. What else will happen here? What's else happening here? Let's see. What else have we got here? Charlie approves of Mercadona being open and taking card payments. Yes, I have heard that was the case. Mercadona did a roaring trade on Monday. Andrew saying that electric blackouts are common worldwide. Spain and other EU countries will need to get used to it, says Andrew. There we go. Another point of view, of course. Common worldwide. Yogi's in the chat. Hope we're doing well from London. Good to see you, Yogi. What else? Let's have a look here. Iggy was listening to the government radio when they said they were considering all theories, and in the next sentence saying it couldn't possibly have been renewables. Yeah, Iggy, again, I mean, when you're so hell-bent on something and you've backed your whole political position on renewable energy, which the Spanish government has done, I mean, billions have been spent trying to get renewables up and running in this country, incentives given to people to put them on their homes, and of course, yeah. But again, we'll wait for the official reason if we ever get one, of course. If we ever get one. Constantino saying here that imagine if satellites in space failed, what the impact would be. We depend so much on these services. True, Constantino, true. Erica coming in from Terrassa after rebooting the French side, or her French side, got back on the day of the apagón and spent time doing problems. What's that? Solving problems, sorry. Thank God she had a great supply of candles. Yes, Erica, that is true. Janet saying they must know what caused it. The people of Spain should be told the truth. Well, No reply yet from the government, Janet, or Red Electrica. Maybe it'll come this week, or maybe it'll come just before people are going on holidays around the 20th of July. That could be a good date. It's when they held elections last year, I think it was. So that's the old trick. What else? US is starting to get nuclear power, says Al. There we go. Australia was also talking about nuclear power until last Saturday, when that debate has been quashed with the election there. Will happen again. Murphy's Law, according to Del Mar. Diffie reckons Spain's electricity is reliable as the Fremantle Dockers football team, an Australian football team down there in Western Australia. Yep, about as reliable as those clowns. Absolute clown of a side. What's this one? Didaches, is it? My family in the US told me the news over there barely covered the blackout. I'm convinced that the US hates Spain. Probably didn't break through the news. There's plenty of stories coming out of the United States every day. So it probably doesn't break through into the mainstream news, the MSN, as people like to call it. Fluttergirl saying that the House of Horror story sounds so frightful. Absolutely sounds frightful, Fluttergirl. And, of course, feeling sadness, of course, for those children, but relief that they have been put into some type of care, taken away from their parents. But what the future holds for them, I don't know. I do not know. What else that we got going on here? Del Mar, it's plausible to theorise that the US would love to sell oil to Spain. Oh yes, US has oil and a lot of it. Thanks for that. Martin's in the chat. Valued member of Martin, checking in from Catania in Sicily. Martin gets around, I will say. Never seems to be in the one place for very long, Martin. What else we got going on here? Gold geologist generation, no accountability, and can't do whatever that last word is there. Thanks, Gold. Philip saying Spain have now had more than plenty of time to explain why the generators dropped offline and why the grid dropped the generators. Yep, some people would agree with you there as well, of course, Philip. But they're trying to get to the bottom of it. The bottom of it. Investigations have been opened on many fronts, according to the government. Red Energy, the Red Electrica, told the government this would happen last year if the mix of renewables became too high of a percentage. Yeah, that's another thing that has been thrown around over the last week, Kev. That theory there as well. How many coal power stations does Germany have running, says Dave. Got no idea, Dave. No idea. Erica was bombarded by messages from Australia. I think that's Australia and New Zealand. Asked me what was going on in Spain. They were very worried about the power blackout. Embarrassing. Yeah, but again, as I said, it does happen. Antonio saying that there are 7 nuclear power plants active. There we go. Antonio lives in Nuevos Ministerios in Madrid and had everything. Food for a year and a half, lots of batteries, candle, everything way before the EU. So Antonio's prepared. Brad loves the sarcasm. Some people do, some people don't, Brad. Some people the other day were a little bit annoyed with me for my sarcastic comment. But it is what it is. I never talk about Portugal on this channel. Never. People have said, why don't you do a Portuguese news? Because I just don't understand Portugal as well as I do Spain. I don't really understand Spain, but at least I can read what's going on. Portugal is a country that I don't really focus on. But I'm sure there are people that could point Gertrude in the right direction. What else? Let's have a look here. And let me scratch my nose. Mike coming in from Vermilion, Canada. Alberta, Canada. Power up those coal plants and nuclear. Well, tell that to Mr. Sanchez. I'm sure that you know what the answer will be. What else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Kev again saying here, I just fired up the car and listened to the radio and that. Also plugged in my phone to charge, as we were left to find a mobile phone service for an urgent call. Radio advised we would fail badly. Yeah, a lot of people didn't have the communications that they needed during those times. Kev, myself, I think my internet connection failed at around, I think the last time I got an internet connection was around 7 p.m., which was a lot later than some people that didn't have one from 12:30 basically. But then I didn't get a signal back until around 1 a.m. So I was about 5 or 6 hours without communication there. Iggy's saying, beautiful backdrop. Thought it was the Gran Via. Yeah, a similar building, I think, the one that you'll see on the Gran Via, the one there, with the Sherry brand at the top there, Iggy. I think that is it. What else? Let's have a look here. Delmar saying that the old iPod Nanos have a radio, so don't throw them out. I also had a Maglite, is that Maglite police flashlight that really helped on notifications. Go up and click all to receive the broadcasts. Thanks for that, Delmar. Someone was asking how did that work, the notification system. What did Zapatero do in regards to the railway system? I started coming to Spain in the mid-90s. Are you talking about Renfe or all the railway systems? There must have been a comment that I missed here. Let me see if I can find it. Stuart, I'm really sorry what happened to you in the train to Jerez before Sanchez. I took trains everywhere. They were amazing. Not anymore. Sanchez destroyed everything. Zapatero started it. Thanks, Antonio, for that. Yeah, I think I mentioned Zapatero a minute ago or so with his Champions League remark back in 1990. When was it? 2007 or something, I think it was. Just before the world economy crashed and Spain's economy crashed. Terry's saying that while looking for tea light candles, they discovered some glow sticks that were put away 8 years ago. They work great. Glad to be an old raver. Great to be an old raver. What else? Melissa saying, by the way, hola. Hope you had a good long weekend. Thanks for that. Victoria is also in the chat joining, but we'll catch up later with the start of the video. Thanks, Victoria, for that. Elena coming in from Florida. Get quite a few hurricanes and people are prepared for a loss of power. Preparation is key. Neighbours have power panels and gas for cooking, but we don't have a generator that helps. Thanks, Elena, for that. Yeah, I imagine that if you're in one of those places where hurricanes or cyclones often roll through, you are experienced that losing power for a period of time anyway until it gets re-established, whether it's hours or days. Burton's caught the live stream, embraced the blackout. There's a piece that comes when all electrical gadgets are turned off and you can't be contacted or harassed by people. Pete saying, it doesn't surprise me that causes of a massive power outage as complex as this it's taking some time to unravel. Not surprising there. So, yep, we'll see if we get answers soon. Don't know. What else we got going on here? Pete also saying the United States 2003, which should have been pointed out, relied heavily on coal, had a massive power outage. We still have power outages often enough that natural gas backup generators are common. There we go. Thanks, Pete, for that. What else? Let's have a look here quickly. Ms. Ma'am, coming in from Las Vegas. Good to see you. 6 months it took for the cause of the Great Northeast Blackout of 2003, so we could be waiting a while here for the cause of the blackout. Renon's coming in, still in Madrid. Renon, good to see you. You want Portuguese news? Go to Good Morning Portugal. There we go. If you want Portuguese news, go to that YouTube channel. Carl, I think, is the operator of that channel. GA, yes, everything is fine online until the power is pulled or stopped. Stu does the occasional show from Portugal. Thanks, that is true, yeah, but I don't talk about Portuguese news, as I mentioned before. And what else we got going on here? And then, of course, no bank payments, no ATMs, no power for the electric cars. Net zero, blah, blah, blah. Took over 100 years before the car was perfected, so back up a bit. There we go. So another point of view. And Simon here saying, lots of old ladies with roses today. It's Mother's Day in Spain. Yes, it's Mother's Day in Spain. And if you are in Spain, you would have seen all of the people selling flowers around the streets yesterday. Some people legally selling flowers, some people illegally selling flowers, of course, which is always the case. Now I'm going to wrap the live stream up. It's been a pleasure as always. I should be putting out another live stream during the week, maybe on Tuesday, maybe on Thursday. Don't know the plan yet, so stay tuned for that. It's been a pleasure. Hasta luego, hasta entonces, adios, and bye-bye.